Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. This time out, new software and new capabilities for the GT-100 multiprocessor. Let's get started. Boss recently introduced Mark II software for the GT-100 multiprocessor, and this gives us a variety of new capabilities as well as new amp and effects models. Now, the GT-100 can do everything from model different effects, to creating amplifier sounds, to emulating speakers, to emulating microphones, and with the new Mark II software, we can also interface by USB with our computer, which allows us to run an editor librarian, as well as to do recording functions. Let's start by listening to some of the new sounds. First up, we've got a Bagner Ubershaw amplifier, which is a high-gain amplifier that with the Cosm model that Boss has created is very dynamic. I'll be demonstrating this using a custom shop Stratocaster. What's nice about this model is that even though you have all the gain you could ever want, you can also turn your volume knob down and get a nice cleaner tone as well. So a lot of sensitivity there that allows you to play with real dynamics and still be articulate with your pick attack. With the Mark II software, the GT-100 also gets a new orange amplifier model. This is a lead setting using a room effect to give you more ambience. This is a really fat tone that really sings and sustains well, even with the low output pickups I have in my Strat. It has a lot of pick attack to it, but again, it's a fat sound that really sings well. With the GT-100 Mark II, Boss also added new effects. In particular, they added their MDP series of effects. So here we've got the Terra Echo, which is the exact same as what you'd find in the Terra Echo pedal. Just like with the original pedal, the Terra Echo effect is very touch responsive, so you get a totally different sound depending on how you hit the strings and what your articulation is. Boss also introduced a new rotary speaker model with the Mark II software. I'm really impressed with this because you can really hear the differentiation between the low rotor speaker and the upper horns as they're turning. We'll start out with it at a slow speed, and then I'll speed it up, and you can really hear that difference as the two rotors turn at their different rates. I really like the way you can hear those two rotors spinning independently. In the Mark II software, we also have the other two pedals from the MDP series, the Adaptive Distortion and the Multi-Overtone. Now here we've combined them together into one patch. With that adaptive distortion, you can use a lot of gain, and there's still clarity from string to string as you're playing chords. And the multi-overtone gives you all those effects, whether you're looking for an octave above, an octave below, or another interval that you can mix in there to really fatten up the sound. With the new software, we have greatly expanded USB capabilities for the GT-100. Now that allows us to run an editor librarian on Mac and PC. This is Tone Studio for GT. It allows you to control all the functions that are inside the box. Now we can switch presets that we're looking at using the buttons on the front of the GT-100. They automatically update inside the librarian. Or we can select them right here on the front panel. When we select a sound, the display is updated. The majority of the screen in Tone Studio for GT is dedicated to displaying all the different parameters for the effects, amps, microphones, and speakers that we have loaded up. On the top up here, we see our signal chain. So we have the different effects that are loaded here. When we click on those, the bottom part of the screen shows us the parameters that are associated with that particular box. So here we've got a compressor. Here we've got the foot pedal, which in this case is set to do a wah-wah. We have the overdrive. And if we click up here, we select the amplifier that we're using. In this case, it's the natural clean amp. And we can see the parameters for that. Now we have multiple pages here, so we can really get into all the different parameters for the amplifier. So lots of different things we can work with there. Here's where we select our speaker type, our mic distance, our mic position, the mic level. You can mix in the direct as well. And if you're using a custom speaker cabinet, you have control over the speaker size, the number of speakers, the type of cabinet that you're working with. So a lot of control for really shaping your sound there. Now we also have post effects that would occur after the amplifier. The effects on this side come before the amp. The effects on this side come after the amp. So here we've got an EQ that's been loaded up there afterward. We've got a chorus, and you can turn those on and off as well. And again, access all those parameters down here on the bottom part of the screen. As soon as you connect the Boss Tone Studio for GT to your GT-100, it automatically will load up all of the sounds that are inside your box into your computer, and they're displayed over here. So we've got the whole range of presets that are loaded in, so you can access any of those sounds. It makes a great librarian for just cataloging all the different sounds that you're using. In addition to the sounds that come in your GT-100, you can create your own sounds and load them back and forth, or you can download new sounds that Boss has created from BossToneCentral.com. In addition to being able to use USB to connect your GT-100 into your computer so you can edit patches or store them or send them back and forth, you can also use USB to make the GT-100 function as an audio interface. Here's the way that works. We connect the USB out from the GT-100 into your computer. In this case, I've got a MacBook Pro running, and I'm running Studio One DAW software. So we come out of there, the guitar goes into the GT-100, signal comes out via USB into the computer. You can see it's showing up on the first track there. Now the signal is also coming back through the GT-100 for monitoring. So it's coming back out of Studio One into the USB cable, back to the GT-100, and then through the outputs of the GT-100 into my studio monitors. So we've really created a whole studio situation here using a laptop, the GT-100, and a pair of speakers. The really cool thing is there are actually two stereo audio streams that are coming out of the GT-100 into the computer. I've got this set up so that the first audio stream, which is a stereo signal, is carrying all the process sound. So it has the amplifier, it has the effects, all of that processing is in there, and that's being recorded to the first track here. The second stereo output that's being carried via USB I have routed into the second track, and that's carrying the dry signal that has no processing at all. Now that allows me to go back later and do reamping, where I'm sending that dry signal back through an amplifier sound. I can work with it, I can fine tune it as much as I want, but my original performance is still captured here without any effects. There's one other really cool feature with USB in the GT-100, and that's that with the Mark II software, we can now convert a monophonic signal from the guitar, so if you're playing one note at a time, into the GT-100, it will convert that into a MIDI signal, and you can use that to drive a soft synth or an external MIDI synthesizer. So here in Studio One, we can load a synthesizer up and play it using the guitar. So let me load a synthesizer up and show you how this works. We'll select one from Native Instruments here. We'll choose FM8, simply drag it over. The synthesizer will open up, and we've got it set for all inputs. So using this function, you could play in synth bass lines, you could do synth leads, you could layer up synth pads by playing one note in at a time to create your chords. So a lot of capability there for adding MIDI instruments that you can play right from your guitar, along with the guitar tracks that you're recording using your GT-100. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Boss GT-100 Mark II. This new software has really upped the ante. We've got new amps, we've got new effects, those new USB capabilities for recording and driving synthesizers. Lots going on here with the Boss GT-100 Mark II. It's a very cool multiprocessor. Thanks for joining me for Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more guitars, more amps, more effects, and we'll be making lots of music. I'm Mitch Gallagher.